Hey, Physics 30s. Okay, we're going to go over how to use your calculator to do the exponential regressions. You can pretty much do any regression you want. It's not the preferable way because how do you print this off so you can use this regression as part of your lab? It's possible to print this off, but then you get the TI 84 resolution for your print off and it just looks ugly. So you might as well use another program such as Excel, Sheets, or Desmos to do the graphing for you. But I've been asked, how do you do this in your calculator? So let's give it a try here. So what we want to do before we start is get rid of the data that's inside our lists here. So I'm just going to go second plus here. I'm going to clear all the lists, number 4, hit enter. So as to get done there. Okay, so that's going to allow us that if I go to stat edit, my L1 and L2 are empty. Okay, so once we have our data, let's just say that I have some fake data here, actually from one of our worksheets that we have here. I'm just going to use one of those. All right, so from one of our worksheets, worksheet number 5 here, I have a set of data that asks us to find the half-life of this material. Okay, since maybe I don't have my graphing calculator or Desmos with me or something like that, or I've been locked out, you can pull out your graphing calculator, like I have on my phone here. Okay, and once you have your graphing calculator out, you can start entering the data. So you can see here, I'm going to put into my L1, everything that was in the L1 column there. Let me just move this to the screen. So we got 0, 1, 0, 2. Let's go back up there and actually fix that. 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay. And then I'm going to put in my other data here, 25, 6. All right, there's my data. What I want to do now is I want to see, does this actually fit an exponential regression? So I'm going to go and look at the data. So I'm going to go y is equal to, clear anything out of here, go up to plot 1 and turn that on. This only works if the plot 1's turned on. Plot 1 will use L1 and L2 as your X and Y values, and it'll plot. If I go zoom stat, which is usually number 9 on these calculators, you may have to scroll down to find it. It'll zoom into the data. There's my data. I'm hoping I typed all this. This point here doesn't seem like it seems a bit high. So I'm going to go double check my data. Make sure I typed it in correctly here. Yeah. Oh, the first data point is not 0. It's actually 1. That's why it seems off. Okay. There we go. So I go back to zoom stat. There, that makes more sense. So the data looks pretty good. Now, what I usually like to do in this situation is, so I want to see the X and Y axis. So rather than having my X min being 0.1, I can make that equal to 0. And rather than making my Y min 230-ish, I can make that equal to 0 as well. So I can see the X and Y axis here. You can change the scale if you want, have different ticks. So there's this little scale here. So rather than going up by 1s here, I can go up by 2s or something like that. I'll just change the number of ticks you have there. Same thing here. Rather than going up by 1s, which is kind of a blur of things, I can go up by thousands or so. So it'll give me different ticks on the X and Y axis. But that's okay. That's beside the point. We want to determine the regression here. So what I'm going to do now, because it doesn't look straight, it looks like it's an exponential regression. I'm going to go to stat, go over to calc, and then rather than doing the line regression like we would usually do, like a linear regression, because this is a half-life is an exponential decay graph, I'm going to go to exponential regression, so EXP reg here. So number 0, or just go up and select it. Now this might look differently depending on what type of calculator you have. I'll go to the other version of the calculator and show you how to do that. But if you end up with this screen here, you can store the regression in there. So you can go vars, go to y vars, hit function there, whole number y1 out, hit calculate. There's my regression. Okay, gives me a nice little equation. It's not a half-life equation because the b value is 0.8, but it does fit this data pretty good. Okay. Now, if I want to determine the half-life of this graph, because that's what the question says, use this graph to estimate the half-life, I would have to first of all know where does it start and where's half of that number. So back at my equation here, this value, the a times b to the power of x, the a is where it starts, the 3600 value. So you can round it up to 3601. So if I were to take that number, and actually you can pull out that variable a if you wanted to. I'm just going to watch a bunch of zeros or decimals there, and divide it by 2 on my next line. What it'll do is plot a line that's where half that value is. And you can see it's around this point. So it looks like it's around time 4. But what I want to do is I'm going to go trace, second trace, sorry, intersect, enter, 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 and there it is. So I have half the value at this time. Okay, so this is about 4 hours according to this question. There, we determine the half-life. That's how you determine pretty much any wave. Like if this was through decimals, you do the same thing. Now on an older style calculator, let me show what that looks like. We'll go back to the old days here. Okay, so this is what it looks like in the older style calculator here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clear this out. Okay, I've got the stat, the edits in the same area here. Everything's the same that we had before. When I go stat edit, oops, sorry, not stat calc. So number 0 here. Oh, it doesn't let me do the older way. Okay, never mind. The older way doesn't actually have this screen or the previous screen. It just does it all in one line. You could just do it. You could just go right after that. You just put down Y1. It'll just put the, so you can go bars here. I thought it would show you the other way, but I don't know what I'm doing there. There, you put that there in front. So you go, you find that regression. The next thing before you hit enter is put Y1 there. I'll store the equation to Y1 for you. There you go. Hopefully that helps. Terms of actually presenting the graph, I would do this a different way through Sheets, Excel, or Desmos. But if you just need to get the answer using your calculator, that's what you would do. Okay. I'll see you in the next video, maybe. Bye.